why study the Bhagavad Gita? And what does it mean really to study the Bhagavad Gita in the traditional way that we were meant to do? Recently, a yoga teacher sent me a message asking for a recommendation for an Upanishad translation to read. She wrote that she has read the Bhagavad Gita a few times and now feels she's ready to read an Upanishad translation, and could I recommend one? And my answer was that I don't really have a translation of an Upanishad to recommend, because reading these texts cover to cover, the way that one might read a novel or even a textbook, is not the way that the teachings that are held within these texts are designed to be conveyed. In fact, it's impossible to gain deep transformation that is available through these teachings by just reading a book. And though I've been teaching these teachings for many years, I've never sat down alone in a room by myself and just read an Upanishad or even the Bhagavad Gita cover to cover. Because while you can gain some information from that, there's really no way to experience the true psychological and inner transformation that's available to us from those texts. And the question is asked innocently and earnestly with a desire for knowledge, which is beautiful. But reading a book like an Upanishad or reading the Bhagavad Gita won't really lead you where you want to go. And where we all want to go is a shared human experience. What we all want is changeless happiness. We want a happiness that doesn't come and go. We want to experience an inner stability that isn't dependent on gains or losses, doesn't go up when we gain something or go down when we experience a loss. This is actually what all of your yoga students want as well. When they come to you saying that they want better pelvic health or that they want to do a particular asana that they saw on the cover of a magazine, what they're really telling you is that they want happiness. They want to feel okay. They want to feel fulfilled, satisfied, whole, and complete. And they think that resolving a particular physical pain or diagnosis, or that attaining the experience of a particular asana or pranayama practice will bring them that happiness. So as a teacher, what we want to do is look at the heart of their desire and look at the heart of our own desire, which is the most essential human desire. And that is the precious natural desire for happiness. This is what the Bhagavad Gita is designed to deliver. And it's not about attaining information. It is about unfolding the teachings in the presence of a teacher in a way that the teachings become personal and directly relatable and meaningful inwardly in such a way that they transform us powerfully to the point where you are never again the same after being exposed to these teachings in such a deep, relatable way. The Bhagavad Gita is described in the tradition as a nectar, and you'll see that my program is called The Nectar of the Bhagavad Gita, broken into 3 parts: the nectar of action, the nectar of love, and the nectar of knowledge. And this is the way that the text is traditionally divided, is into these 3 meaningful sections. So it is a nectar because the Bhagavad Gita delivers to us that which we've been craving all along, which is that changeless happiness, that inner stability of peace and psychological freedom. We've been chasing many things in the world: objects, relationships, accolades, experiences, even profound, perhaps spiritual or inner experiences. We chase these things down thinking that just that one thing is going to give us the happiness we desire. And what we find sooner or later is that no matter what we attain, none of it satisfies us completely. The Bhagavad Gita is described as a nectar because it delivers to us that which satisfies us completely, because what it delivers is a discovery of the self, which is already whole and complete as it is. The Bhagavad Gita is also described as a nectar because what it does is it takes all of the teachings of the Upanishads from the Vedic tradition and concentrates those teachings in one place into 700 verses held in the heart of the Mahabharata, which is 100,000 verses. Held in the heart of that epic story is the Bhagavad Gita. And it's protected the way that a nectar is protected inside of a flower. And when we drink of that nectar, meaning when we are exposed to those teachings in a truly meaningful, in-depth way, that nectar of the Gita, that concentrated nectar of all of the teachings of the Upanishads in one place, satisfies us wholly and completely. I'll just talk a little bit about where the Bhagavad Gita sits in the yoga tradition itself. So you have likely heard of the Vedas. There are 4 Vedas known, and the Vedas, each of them is divided into 2 parts. The first part of each of the Vedas is full of mythology, prayer, and ritual. And these are all for the purpose of helping us to actually attain those things that we desire in life. So prayer and ritual and mythological teachings to help us attain health and well-being, financial abundance or wealth, relationships that may be beneficial to us, including the birth of progeny or children, good wellness into old age, and so on. So the first part of the Vedas is all about gaining all of the things that we desire in life. You might be surprised to know that the Vedic tradition is not opposed to desire, never says that you shouldn't have desire. In fact, says that it's natural to have desire and that those desires should be satisfied. And that you can use prayer and ritual along with your own personal efforts and the use of the gifts that you were given upon your birth in order to attain all of the things that you desire. So the first half of each of the Vedas is dedicated to all of that. The second half of each of the Vedas is called the Upanishads. Each of the Vedas has several Upanishads which come at the end. After the mythology, prayer, and ritual are the Upanishads in each Veda. And what these are, they offer spiritual wisdom for the discovery of the truth of the self. The idea behind this arrangement in the Vedas is that when you come into the world, you're full of desire, and that you should satisfy as many of those desires as you can, as long as no one is being harmed in the process. There's nothing wrong in having your desires satisfied. But the tradition also recognizes that sooner or later, and often it's significantly later in life, though not always, we come to realize that though we've satisfied a number of desires, maybe millions of desires in a lifetime, we still feel inadequate and dissatisfied and not whole. We still desire more. We realize that though I thought that thing would make me happy, it didn't, or it made me happy for a time and then I craved something else, or I got the thing I wanted and then I was full of fear and worry that I was going to lose it. So what is it about me that I can't feel totally happy? And that's what the Upanishads are about. The Upanishads come in at the end and say, none of those objects of the world will make you happy. Here is the teaching that will deliver you the discovery of the self. But these teachings of the Upanishads are designed to be delivered to people who have left the world or in a forest dwelling place or on the top of a mountaintop in solitude. Whereas the Gita, which comes later, is delivered right in the center of a battlefield to a person who has a home, a family to be responsible for, and still is right smack dab in the midst of major life responsibilities and a serious life crisis. And the fact is that our lives really look much more like a battlefield than they look like a mountaintop or a solitude forest dwelling. So the Bhagavad Gita is also a nectar because it delivers the most supreme teachings to us in the midst of our real lives.